For years, they told us that they had the whole story about January 6th. They told us their committee had uncovered everything. Well, they lied. Tonight we have something they never wanted you to see. Speaker Mike Johnson has just created a new subcommittee, and what they're about to investigate will shake Washington to its core. FBI officials are being summoned, new evidence is emerging, and that's not even the biggest story. What we've uncovered about certain committee members, well, let's just say some very powerful people are suddenly very worried about what comes next. Now, you know what's really draining America's power? The deep state. But while Trump's new January 6th investigation exposes government waste and corruption, there's another kind of waste that's happening in your home right now. Power waste. Just like the truth was suppressed about January 6th, the energy companies are not telling you everything. This revolutionary device, it optimizes your home's electrical flow, cutting your bills dramatically. Visit don'twastepower.com and save up to 50% off during their special offer. Stop wasting power and start saving money. The truth about energy savings is finally here. Okay, buckle up, folks. On President Trump's January 6th pardons, Speaker Johnson says that peaceful protests should never be punished. He said, "We believe in redemption. We believe in second chances." President Trump pardoning 1,500 people who were arrested and incarcerated on January 6th. Reverend Al Sharpton melting down today on MSNBC. He spoke about the dangerous message Trump's pardons for January 6th insurrectionists send. What did he say? Let's find out.
January 6th use.
Yeah, I mean, the power is expansive to begin with, and we've seen it used in unprecedented ways this week alone. So, Reverend Sharpton, let's talk about the January 6th pardons. Washington and the nation still digesting what Donald Trump did. He reporting that debates initially they were thought to be a little more limited, and then Trump himself said, no, let's go big. Let's just release all of them. And then we've heard in the last 24 hours.
Well, I mean, it looks like they race swapped the Crypt Keeper.
Enrique Tarrio, the head of the Proud Boys, already say, first of all, expressing his gratitude to President Trump, but saying now it's time for revenge and calling on Trump's DOJ to go after those who did these January 6th investigations.
I think that is what distinguishes between the two buckets of pardons. You can disagree with both, but they are very different in the sense that the pardoning of these that physically beat police and physically beat law enforcement and went in the Capitol, and they are now still active, it emboldens them and emboldens others. You cannot compare that to people being pardoned for something decades ago, even though you may disagree with it. The fact of the matter is, what I said to someone just yesterday is that when George Floyd was killed, they burned down stores in Minneapolis. The family of George Floyd asked me to come in and do the eulogy, lead nonviolent marches to calm things down, and they denounced the violence. Suppose if Joe Biden had pardoned those young people that out of rage burned down Minneapolis. Would the people that are supporting the January 6th pardons say, oh, well, they were angry, they had a right to protest? So we're talking about
wait a
people
minute.
that...
They're not the same. They are not the same. Those people were violent, burning down cities. Okay? These people were standing on Capitol steps. Very different, Al.
Literally did the same thing, but did it in the Capitol, threatening the vice president and threatening the Speaker of the House. And that's all right. But the rest of these people that protest and gets violent, which I denounce that violence right there, they're hoodlums, they're thugs. Now you're telling these right-wing protesters that you're covered. In fact, you're heroes. You were pardoned, and they will be emboldened to do this even more, which is of concern to those of us that are still in the public space.
That's a lie. That is a lie. Here's Chuck Schumer chastising Trump's J6 pardons.
Sadly, it's a golden age for lawlessness and lawbreakers who were pardoned yesterday by President Trump. There is no other way to describe President Trump's pardon of January 6th offenders than un-American. It is so deeply un-American to do that, to pardon them. And let's be clear, President Trump didn't just pardon protesters. He pardoned individuals convicted of assaulting police officers. He pardoned individuals convicted of seditious conspiracy. And he pardoned those who attempted to undermine our democracy. It's a betrayal of the highest order of our Capitol Police officers who risked their lives to keep us safe. It just is so cruel to the Sitnick family who lost a police officer.
Of course, he makes no mention of the murderers that Joe Biden pardoned. The ones that murdered police officers? Yeah.
You mentioned, obviously, your concern about the Trump article. What about Joe Biden? Was it appropriate for him to give a blanket pardon to his family on the way out the door?
We're looking at the future. Sadly,
We're
it's a
looking
golden
at the
age.
future. Wow. These people are out of their minds. Speaker Johnson creating a new January 6th subcommittee to investigate the truth about what happened on that day. And keep in mind that Nancy Pelosi, she didn't receive a blanket pardon. A federal judge appointed by Bill Clinton issued a statement against President Trump for pardoning January 6 hostages. Dismissal of charges, pardons after convictions, and commutations of sentences will not change the truth of what happened on January 6th. Yeah, whatever. Speaker Johnson has formed a new subcommittee to investigate the truth. They can now summon FBI officials to explain their involvement. Since Liz Cheney's trending for tampering with a witness, here's a J6 video she doesn't want you to see. What's going on in this video here? Oh, yeah, just walk down there, yeah. Capitol Police, just, hey, just go on that way. Head on down there. Legacy media will spend the next 4 years talking about J6 pardons while their president pardon. Do not let them lecture you on morality.
What do you mean you don't know? Pardon these violent people.
So here's CNN. This is Jim Acosta talking with Representative Tim Burchett.
Pardon these violent people and releasing them from jail.
If they were truly violent, no, but do I know that they were? I don't know that.
What do you mean you don't know that? We're showing the footage on the air right now. Congressman, you were there that day. There are offenders on January 6th who violently beat police officers. There are offenders who are convicted of seditious conspiracy. That is the truth.
This is a political world, Jim, and I don't remember you all on CNN condemning Joe Biden for commuting the sentences of murderers and child molesters, which he did. And you all
Congressman, I'm not asking about that. Congressman, we have talked about Joe Biden's pardons.
You never do,
Congressman,
Jim.
we did talk about it. We talked about Joe Biden's pardons.
Oh, Jim, you did not. You all read your report from the Democrat National Committee, as you always do,
that
and
is
you attack
absolutely
Americans.
False. Congressman,
oh, gotta love Tim Burchett. Gotta love him. We're finding out here's newly pardoned Jamie Raskin melts down over the J6 pardons after a slew of lies, rants that freed J6ers are violent threats. Here it is, more on CNN. Jamie Raskin.
Been used. Yeah, well, look, people are given pardons, as the senator points out, under the basically unlimited executive discretion of the president. But the question is why? Pardons have generally been used when people are actually innocent or there was some procedural miscarriage of justice. And nobody's claiming that these people were innocent. We got them on tape, hitting the police officers over the head with pipes and bats and Confederate battle flags. And all of that's been established. Most of them pled guilty. The others have been convicted. There was no procedural miscarriage of justice. On the contrary, they've had every benefit of due process. So pardons in that case are reserved for people who are reformed, people who are rehabilitated, and no longer constitute a threat to public safety. So that's what's missing in this conversation. If President Trump had come forward and said, we've spoken to these people, they are not going to be attacking police officers in the future the way that they bloodied and wounded and hospitalized 140 of them in Washington, D.C. They are not.
Okay, pause. Really? You think that they're going to go out and do this whole thing again? You think they're going to participate in those types of activities again? I doubt it. Let's continue.
going to be attacking the rule of law and democratic institutions. They are not going to be interrupting the peaceful transfer of power, and they're not going to be a threat to their communities. We haven't heard anything like that. So then the question is, why are they being released? Are they being released as a reserve army of political foot soldiers to act on behalf of MAGA and Donald Trump? And I think that's what's so profoundly troubling to a majority of the American people who rejected the idea of freeing at least the violent criminals and the ones who are convicted of seditious conspiracy, which means they're going to be interrupting the peaceful transfer of power, and they're not going to be a threat to their communities. We haven't heard anything like that. So then the question is, why are they being released? Are they being released as a reserve army of political foot soldiers to
A reserve army of political foot soldiers. That's rhetoric I haven't heard yet. Oh my goodness, man. This guy is out to lunch. Wow. That is absolutely absurd. But we expect nothing less from Jamie Raskin. Isabella Maria DeLuca, I did not know that she was even involved in this. I got a text message last night, and this came in from my friend Ty Bollinger. And he said, I had no idea one of our employees was just pardoned by Trump. I didn't even know she was facing J6 charges. God bless Donald J. Trump. I just saw her being interviewed on Fox News. Yeah. Who knew? Even Ty Bollinger didn't know. Let's listen to that media hit.
Prevent it from happening. Well, I'm trying to get my head around. Take the table. Did you remove a table from the Capitol?
No, I touched a table. Like, I put my hand on a table, and they accused me of stealing the table, theft of government property, and they came to me with a plea deal the day before the election, saying that if I pled guilty to stealing the table, which carried a maximum sentence of 1 year in prison and a $100,000 fine, that they would drop my trespassing charges.
This is, Brandon, you've been on me for years on this. I'm so glad you told your story. Isabella, we're going to continue covering this because I think actually people have to really understand what happens with these prosecutors and how these cases go down, because this could happen again unless this is prevented from happening again.
Wow. She touched a table and they nailed her. This one's an interesting story. An Idaho woman who became known as the MAGA Granny spent time in prison for her role on January 6th, says she's rejected Trump's pardon. She says, I broke the law. I'm not a victim. The message is, if I took the pardon, that what I did that day was okay. I was wrong on that day. MAGA Granny. Where's the clip? I know we had a clip of... Where's the clip of... I know we had the clip from... I thought we had the clip from the speaker. I know it was there. January 6th update. Where is the speaker clip? Well, we have this. This J6 political prisoner says he has evidence to present in front of Congress. Evidence proving Nancy Pelosi is responsible for January 6th. Let's listen.
Except for... Okay, quick message number 2. This one's important. So when I was locked up in D.C., again, Jan 6 are here. When I was locked up pre-trial, they basically denied us any access to evidence. For some reason, when they finally did give us access to evidence, I got access to evidence.com that nobody else was, except for us that were in D.C. at the time back in 2021, 22. When we got access to that, I was getting more information than most anybody else on the outside. Lawyers didn't see what we saw. When I came out, I managed to get myself bond, where almost nobody else did once they were held pretrial in D.C. When I did, I had evidence, and I have it in my possession right now, just got it out of my storage unit, that shows that President Trump is right. Nancy Pelosi is directly responsible for what happened on January 6th. It is a conspiracy. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's fact. More to come. I can prove Nancy Pelosi was responsible for this. Okay, quick part 2, because I was asked to do this. The evidence that I have about January 6th being a setup, everything that you have seen is a lie. That is fact. That is going to be proven. We need to show up in front of Congress, me and every other single Jan 6er who has been through this, to testify and show what we have. The evidence that I have seen is a vast conspiracy. This, again, is not conspiracy theory. This is conspiracy fact. We can prove that Nancy Pelosi worked with the Pentagon, Milley. We've got Schumer. We have various members of Congress and Senate, some of which are still there. We have the FBI. We have various three-letter organizations. This is fact. I want people to know that I'm not suicidal, and I just got out of the doctors. I'm in great health. So if something happens to me, it was not natural. Okay, there is stuff that I know that I can present to Congress, to investigators, to prove everything that I'm saying. This was a setup. This whole thing is a lie.
I thought we had a clip from that, but we do have this. This is the announcement on Real America's Voice. Julie Kelly reports on the latest J6 developments.
January 6th. The Speaker, Mike Johnson, just announced it within the last few minutes, reported by Molly Hemingway, the formation of a select permanent subcommittee investigating January 6th. This will be moved from the House Administration Committee to the House Judiciary Committee. Will be led by Representative Barry Loudermilk, who, as you know, has conducted his own inquiry as in the subcommittee for the past 2 years. And he is really the one who blew the lid off of Liz Cheney and Cassidy Hutchinson's perjury trap, perjury engagement. Also, a lot of interesting aspects of the pipe bomber, who still has not been identified and charged. And then, of course, all the missing Secret Service texts. And the biggest question I get from people, how many FBI informants or informants and undercover officers from numerous agencies were on the ground involved in what happened that day, and how much they are culpable for the events of that afternoon.
So walk me through this. I actually hadn't seen that news just as we were getting ready to go to air here. What is the purpose of the committee, and what is the stated mission of the committee?
Well, I think they just want to continue their fact-finding that they've been doing for the past 2 years. And even though, of course, Joe Biden shamefully pardoned all of the members and the staffers of the J6 Select Committee, this isn't just the members who were on there, but all of the investigators and staffers, including former federal prosecutors who did a lot of the interrogation of more than 1,000 witnesses to that committee. They are all exonerated, but that does not mean that this committee cannot bring to the public and expose all of the evidence that they have already found, continue, as I said, digging into what that committee did. And more importantly, of course, what really happened on January 6th, as Darren said, moving from an insurrection to a Fedsurrection. And now more and more Americans suspicious that government actors, the same government and political actors that tried to take down Donald Trump for years before January 6, 2021, collaborated behind the scenes to foment the events of that afternoon, call it an insurrection, and use it to permanently destroy the president and the movement that he created. Of course, it's backfired in spectacular fashion, but now the tables have turned. As Mike Davis says, the hunters are now the hunted, and the people responsible for deceiving the American people and the vindictive, abusive prosecution of J6ers will have to be held accountable. And I think this committee will be one part of that.
Now, I did find the clip of Johnson. It was actually him talking about the pardons of the J6ers.
And if those rioters say that when Trump just pardoned a bunch of violent January 6 rioters who attacked Capitol,
He's being questioned about the Trump pardons.
Under the Capitol, will you welcome them back here?
So look, everybody can describe this however they want. The president has the pardon and commutation authority. It's his decision, and I think what was made clear all along is that peaceful protests and people who engage in that should never be punished. There was a weaponization of the Justice Department. There was a weaponization of the events, the following, the prosecutions that happened after January 6th. It was a terrible time and a terrible chapter in America's history. The president's made his decision. I don't second guess those. And yes, it's kind of my ethos, my worldview. We believe in redemption. We believe in second chances. If you would argue that those people didn't pay a heavy penalty, having been incarcerated and all of that, that's up to you. But the president's made a decision. We move forward. There are better days ahead of us. That's what we're excited about. We're not looking backwards, we're looking forward. Just second row.
We are looking forward, but this guy, he is triggered. This is Fanone. He's, I believe, one of the police officers who was there on the ground. He's milking his 15 minutes of fame from that day. He's on CNN complaining about the pardons.
Trump. Thanks, America.
This feels like a betrayal to you.
Oh, I have been betrayed by my country. Rest assured, I have been betrayed by my country, and I've been betrayed by those that supported Donald Trump. Whether you voted for him because he promised these pardons or for some other reason, you knew that this was coming, and here we are.
And here we are indeed. The evidence is mounting. With each passing hour, we're learning more about what really happened on January 6th. The same people who rushed to judgment, who controlled the narrative, who silenced dissent, they're about to face real questions under oath. And here's what everybody should be asking. If the original January 6th committee had nothing to hide, why are they so terrified of a new investigation? If they told us the truth, what are they afraid we'll find? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Stand strong with our exclusive Mag Avengers gear at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com because patriots aren't afraid of the truth.